Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are having a great day. After a very interesting election result, so today we're going to talk about the Trump win in the American election and what it could mean for products like Bitcoin, MYK, cryptocurrency. And so we're going to touch on that a little bit today. Mostly just going to focus on cryptocurrency. So many of us are familiar with some of Trump's economic policies along the campaign trail, some of the things that he was running on. One thing in particular that we noticed was that Donald Trump started to gather a connection and a relationship with the cryptocurrency community. He went to one of the, I believe it's the most popular cryptocurrency lounges in was it New York, and basically initiation of his own cryptocurrency project. Now, that's all very interesting because in the cryptocurrency community, for the longest time, we've been trying to get this relationship with regulators, with the United States government to embrace cryptocurrency and make it very much a part of, of the system, as it were. Throughout, there's been a lot of fear mongering about cryptocurrency. There's been a lot of lack of education. There have been problems with the taxation of cryptocurrency, and there have, of course, been the other regulatory concerns, whether it be money laundering, terrorism, and so on. The normal things that go along with concerns about cryptocurrency. So by now having Donald Trump become president of the United States and him feeling it was important to go out and speak to the cryptocurrency community, that's had a positive effect in the community. Also, he has, whilst on the campaign trail, talked about what he's going to do specifically in relationship to, people hands-on engaged with cryptocurrency, whether it be the SEC chair, people like Gary Gensler. So basically what the cryptocurrency community has cultivated now is a very pro-cryptocurrency legislation. So already we've seen Bitcoin go from up to $75,000. There are early stage predictions of Bitcoin reaching $78,000, right? So that's all very positive for cryptocurrency. Now, in relationship to Bitcoin, MYK, as many of you all probably well know, cryptocurrency is kind of joined at the hip. It pulls other cryptocurrencies along simply because oftentimes the dollars are transacted within, with one another, right? They're held on deposit as base pairs and so on. To illustrate that, right, the orders in the cryptocurrency markets, they contain facilitates the necessity for them to hold, whether it be Bitcoin trading against something like Bitcoin MYK or the US dollar trading against something like Bitcoin MYK. What you're going to have is you're going to have those dollars on deposit. So you have to have US dollars on deposit. You'd have to have Bitcoin on deposit. And because they're holding that money on deposit, a lot of times what happens, they kind of boost the value of the cryptocurrency up as well. In addition to that, there seems to be quite a bit of evidence that Bitcoin trades along with the stock market, right? So as to say, it kind of moves alongside with them, right? So, whereas we thought previous to this or prior to this that Bitcoin would go adverse to the dollar, as the dollar fell, Bitcoin prices would go up. The stock market would go up as Bitcoin prices fell. A lot of research is showing that Bitcoin moves alongside with the stock market, right? And so that's very interesting. So, the positive effect that Donald Trump has on the stock market uh, can basically pull up the price of cryptocurrencies in general. Of course, that makes a lot of cryptocurrency people happy, the overall effect being positive, right? Now, I want to just put this part in here as well, because not everyone is excited about the win of Donald Trump, or excited about, and I don't mean just outside of, I mean within cryptocurrency. Not everybody's excited about it. Not everybody, obviously likes Donald Trump, even if they're in cryptocurrency. And Bitcoin MYK, in relation to that, I would say that from the perspective of much of what our project is consisting of, we have to look at this through a broad umbrella. And what I mean by that is we can look at this a few ways. We can look at it as mostly positive from the cryptocurrency perspective of the appreciation, possibly potentially, of the cryptocurrency itself. Or we could look at it, we can basically look at it as I was just trying to find some of the groups I was in. But we can look at it. We can look at it from the perspective of price appreciation, as I was saying, and that being good on the retail investor, the Bitcoin MYK holder, or we can look at it from the perspective of universal basic income, right? And what does that mean, right? First off, let's underline what universal basic income isn't in relation to cryptocurrency, in relation to citizens out there. Global citizens, but specifically just looking at the Trump effect in America right now. We could underline that as good for cryptocurrency, but if you're looking at, in comparison, the campaign Kamala Harris ran, and whatever stimulus and the money that she was going to give to the middle class. Some people feel that would have created a certain economic stimulus, which would have been a good thing. That's kind of similar to what we get in the idea of universal basic income. Now, it is important that you understand, despite misinformation about universal basic income, that it is not a socialist policy, that it is not a communistic policy, that in fact universal basic income itself was championed by Thomas Paine, one of the leading conservatives in America, right? Thomas Paine was one of the champions of the revolution, very intelligent person who championed something called the citizens' dividend. Now, giving money to your citizens for them to spend their own money initially turns out to be a very conservative-like idea. In fact, if you look at many conservative policies, it's not so much that they have a problem, and I want you guys to really open your minds to this for a minute. It's not that they have a problem with citizens spending their own money. The big issue with a lot of conservative viewpoints are the government mismanaging, overspending citizens' money, right? So let's be clear on that. There's a difference between you spending money back into the economy, actual physical cash, and the government mismanaging funds and spending money, right? So let's be clear on what universal basic income is. It is the citizens spending their own money back into the economy, managing their own money to a great degree. It works in capitalism, and that's how come they have so much trouble underlining how to fit it in some idea like socialism or communism, although it can kind of feel like that. That's not what it is. That is why the rich as well as the poor receive it, right? Even if you're a billionaire, you would receive it. There would be no, and I know a lot of people who champion universal basic income like to say things like, well, we would wish that you wouldn't give it to rich people. They don't need it. It would cost more. It would cost less if you didn't give it to rich people. But they miss the point of the stigma of universal basic income and why it's not socialism and communism, and why we champion a form of capitalism that doesn't start at zero without getting into the pitfalls of socialism and communism, right? So I know that's very difficult for many people to understand. So looking at those two perspectives, right, and going back to the Kamala Harris policies, right, if you kind of believe in the stimulus economic boom of giving people money, and if you looked at some of Kamala Harris's policies for the middle class where they were going to receive these cash infusions, cash injections, you could possibly, I say possibly, as to say, I don't know if this would have been the case or not, if it would have worked, but you could have possibly looked at it like middle groups, middle classes of people spending more money into the economy. That creating a certain type of economic stimulus or boom, right? So the other side of the camp that's more Trump aligned, more Trump positive would say, oh, that's ridiculous. Trump policies make more sense. You're going to cut spending, right? Thus you're going to have potentially more money, right? Of course, if you're spending less, you're going to cut it, and then you're going to impose tariffs, right? Meaning you're going to charge these other nations that are selling goods to us, you're going to charge them an import tax, because what you're trying to do is we don't have money, you're trying to generate more money, right? But what happens when you do something like that, or the argument against the tariffs would be that in the tariffs, what would happen is those other countries would just raise the prices to meet the tariffs. And what would happen is we still end up spending more on goods in the stores. And if you're kind of struggling, lower middle class family, what would tend to happen then is you would have a situation where, if you're having trouble putting gas in the car, feeding the family for the week, now you got to go into the stores and spend more on goods. And so what would happen is any positive effects that the tariffs would have created are now offset by the rise in the prices, also coming off high food prices. They may tend to stay up along with the price of value of goods being higher, right? So you could end up with the economy not coming down, not initially, maybe not for several years, but then when somebody else is the president, could be Democrats down the road, they get this boom in the economy, or they get the benefit of it, right? And interesting enough, they're kind of saying that's what happened with Trump in 2016, that he was kind of getting the boom of other policies that came before him, that it wasn't just his presence that did it. So whatever side of the camp you fall on in this, whether you're a cryptocurrency person who voted for Kamala Harris and you were more prone to her policies, as I know many of you are, or whether you were a Trump supporting candidate in cryptocurrency who believes that cutting spending and all that stuff would, create the drop in food prices as such. One thing is clear, we will now have the data to gauge whether those things are true or not. Getting back to cryptocurrency in relation to Bitcoin MYK, it is likely the price and value of Bitcoin MYK is going to go up as a result of the Trump presidency, right? Just looking at what's happening so far in the sentiment. Although there are a few things important you need to understand about UBI and what the future may hold. The first part is, just because Bitcoin MYK as a cryptocurrency and the stock market goes up, that doesn't necessarily mean there's a positive effect on the normal average citizen. Of course, if you're watching this video, you're probably in Bitcoin MYK or some cryptocurrency, and you probably will benefit, right? But if you're basically not, right, you're not on Main Street, so to speak, right? You're not in the stock market and so on and so forth like that. Then you probably, it won't be a lot of benefit to you, maybe because, obviously you won't have any vested interest in those areas, right? If that makes sense. Um, so as a universal basic income person first, right? And cryptocurrency as our vehicle, our job is to kind of be concerned to a holistic approach for everybody as citizens, whether it be global or within the United States, right? So overall, it's about the health economically, socially of the citizens, right? So we would want to be concerned about not just people in cryptocurrency or in the stock market, but overall, right? So if you believe that the appreciation of the stock market and so on overall is a good thing for everyone, then the Trump effect would obviously be good. If you believe that the stock market helps the rich people or only people who can afford to be invested in, whether that be stock market or cryptocurrency, then obviously you're going to believe that, and you're going to kind of have to decide what is more helpful to people. Is it the good of the many outweigh the good of the few, or what have you? You have to do a little information gathering with that to find out if that's something that you know uh, is where you're at in that. Um, but overall, uh, again, referring back to cryptocurrency, it's going to be a good thing until, right? And let's bring the universal basic income part back. Just to make this balance from everybody's perspective in cryptocurrency, whether you supported Kamala or you supported Donald Trump. If you're wondering who I supported, I support parties and candidacies like Andrew Yang and his Forward party, and I hope we create a universal basic income party, right? I'm really starting to get more into third party, right? I just think it's better for what we're doing and as citizens overall. But the only problems we could run into is, remember, the Trump presidency doesn't solve the problem of automation, right? Remember, the port strike workers will return in 2025. Again, concerned about automation. And, let's be for real about that. I don't think that they're going to be able to negotiate their way out of automation and companies owning robots. Like, people aren't going to stop technology or progress to guarantee jobs for humans that companies can make a lot of money using robots to do and can replace the human with less hassle. That's just not going to happen. That negotiation, I believe that these companies will stall these guys just long enough until they can replace them. And that's more than likely what's going to happen. So Trump presidency likely isn't going to solve that. If you believe 2016 we was in a better, safer economy under Trump, when you're looking at the war machine, you're looking at what's happening in Israel, Palestine, Russia. Are these people really afraid of Donald Trump to the point they're going to, not want to wage these wars or not put their policies forward, beyond what Trump's will is? Probably not. They're probably going to continue on to do what they would have done anyway at some point, right? So the narrative is that they're afraid of Trump and so on. And, I think as rational thinking humans, many of us don't believe that. So some of the things, keeping a balanced perspective about this, I believe could possibly just be short-lived, right? That a lot of these things might be more feeling than reality, as to say, a lot of things would have to happen, like the economic policies Trump is putting forward for the economy to really get better. those things would really have to work. Will they work? I don't think they'll work initially, right? I think we'll continue to see high prices for a good while, maybe even longer than would have been under Kamala Harris, right? And I'm not saying that it's because I'm a Kamala Harris supporter or I'm anti-Trump. I actually like them both, weirdly enough, right? For different reasons. But again, it wouldn't have mattered anyway because I'm a third party type guy, right? I'm a UBI guy, right? So I'm going to put that first. But those are just some things to consider, right? That we're doing this to deal with a huge problem of automation, right? We're not doing this to create socialism or communism. We're not doing this to make people complacent from work or jobs or as a substitute for work or jobs. This is related to dealing with a crisis on the horizon that can't be dealt with any other way, right? As to say, we can't stop these robots. We can only find systems on how to work within the robots. And in a capitalistic, profit-driven economy and society, it doesn't make a lot of sense to sideline robots to stop making money when your bottom line is to be a profit-driven business, right? It doesn't make any sense, right? But anyway, that's my analysis of what's happening with Bitcoin and MYK and the Trump effect. I would say make sure you hold some Bitcoin and MYK. I think it's going to be very good for you. If you don't have an account or Bitcoin and MYK yet, which is absolutely free, what are you doing? A lot of great things are happening here. We're working on the site. It's going to get better and better, and I'm sure you guys are going to like it. That's all I want to say in this particular video. Till next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other.